Rebecca, welcome to the Big Lad podcast. How are we?
Good, thank you for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. Would you like to give yourself a little bit of an introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Rebecca and I am basically a personal trainer, but I work in a small group personal training facility in a ladies only space. So I coach women from all different backgrounds.
Very nice. So, could you tell us a little bit about your fitness journey to begin with then? So, what inspired you to become a PT?
So kind of going like all the way back to childhood, like I was very sporty as a child. I did like an activity every night, so mainly like martial arts, netball, swimming. So I was really sporty kind of childhood going into teens, and then got to the point in school where I ended up kind of just trailing off and doing nothing, and I was a little bit lost. Wasn't training, wasn't doing exercise, and developed a little bit of a poor relationship with food as well. So just kind of overeating, not moving, and I probably wasn't in the best place physically or mentally. And I think kind of teenage, kind of 16, 17, 18 is a hard time anyway. So when I had to go to uni, I didn't have to go to university, but I decided I wanted to go to university. I was a little bit lost to what I wanted to do. And I had this identity that all through childhood that I like love sports, like I did really enjoy it. So it made sense to do a sport and exercise science degree. And that's kind of where everything changed. I remember going like my first week of uni thinking, I'm not gonna be like everyone else. Like I was unfit. I really lacked in confidence. And that's when I was like, right, I need to make a change for myself. So I started with a app. So it was like home workouts and did that for a little while, started going to gym classes, etc. And it was really lockdown that changed everything. That's kind of when my full lifestyle probably changed because I was in the house, I didn't really have a lot to do. So I was training, had more time to like cook and literally all the other habits. So sleep, stress, walking, listen to podcasts. And that's when I really fell in love with health and fitness. And it all kind of just worked out from there. I got an opportunity to do a personal training qualification through university. It was heavily discounted as well. So I thought, why
Always
not?
helps.
Mainly to help. Yeah, I was like, mainly to help myself rather than like, I didn't really have the intention to go into personal training, but I thought, like what's the what like may as well have it because in future if I need it then it's always there to have in my back pocket. So did that through lockdown as well, and then everything from there just kind of fell into place of wanting to help other people, got a job in a ladies only gym, and then just evolved to where I am now really.
It's interesting you mention about the lockdowns. I feel like a lot of people benefited from that time just because of the amount of time it gave you to literally do things like that, go and do personal training qualifications, focus on things like diet and routine. Um, so how would you then say that has then gone into your PT business? So the experience you've got from maybe being uncomfortable going to do a qualification in university, then leading into you becoming a PT, how would you say that experience has helped you?
I think like a lot of PTs go into the industry because they've once struggled or they've wanted to work on something. So it's then you can relate to people a lot more and you have that empathy for people as well. And me personally, I had this really big thing around gym anxiety. So I did home workouts like all the way through lockdown. And then when gyms open, I thought I'm going to be doing home workouts forever because I was just so scared. It wasn't a rational fear, but I just didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. I was scared of what other people were thinking. So for me, overcoming that was also a big thing. And I wanted other people to experience the same benefits that I'd had through my journey and kind of feel and get to a point that I had. So that's probably what benefited or like helped the most going from like my experience into then coaching other people.
So you've almost walked the walk then and shown people that you can go from this position to being a lot more comfortable in a gym environment.
Not even just like from the gym perspective, it was like just the full lifestyle 360. So also like the like holistic habits of sleep, stress, nutrition, and just feeling better like overall as well.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people just think of it as the gym, and there's a lot more to it, like you say, sleep, nutrition, just routine in general. You mentioned that you're part of the women's only fitness space, which is, I believe, called Studio 6.
Yes.
So, what sort of vibe does that have with it being a women's only space, and how does that help the people that go there?
So I've only actually been there for around 6 months. I was self-employed previously in a different ladies only gym, but doing one-to-one coaching. But it's always somewhere that I watched through social media and thought like that'll be a place that I would love to work just because of their values, their community. Like the environment is so lovely. All of the girls are really like-minded. And our thing is like redefining female fitness. So not the stereotypical kind of transformations. It's goes a lot deeper than that, and it looks at things like body image, relationship with food, and so many other areas. And it's so good to just kind of be part of the community and actually feel like you are making a difference to so many people. Although it is kind of just in the northeast, I feel like we do reach and impact a lot of women.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of sort of social media that you see is so drawn into the transformations physically that like I think it's a little bit less now, but I just remember seeing back in the day literally just 12-week transformation photos and that being the way that people gain clients. And now it's kind of moved into
Mhm.
fitness photo shoots, which I'll be honest, I'm really not a fan of, but each to their own. So it is interesting just to see the change, and especially with Studio 6 being more to do with the whole lifestyle change rather than just the physical transformation. There's obviously the mental transformation that goes with that, like you mentioned about becoming more confident in a gym space. And yeah, with having these female only spaces, they're only going to help that, especially with the females that are definitely daunted by going into things like the free weight section.
Definitely. And I feel like with the transformation photos as well, like you don't know what is gone from the person getting from A to B. They might have like really restricted, they might be really unhappy, and it's quite like short-term progress as well. Like we focus on more of a sustainable approach to get people to where they want to be and thriving in all areas. Although having a set of goals is totally okay, and we can definitely still work with people towards certain goals. Could be fat loss, muscle increase, etc. It's just about how you get there as well, and the journey and the process of it all.
Yeah, definitely. Like anyone can go on a highly restricted calorie diet, but you're not going to enjoy the process of doing it, and you're most likely not going to learn a lot along the way. Whereas if you're teaching that whole process and mentally changing and becoming more comfortable with the whole process in general, I think that's going to benefit a lot more people in the long run as well. So, with that being said, then, have you had any sort of standout clients or stories that have made you go, like, this is why I do what I do?
There's a lot, like even from when I was like a one-to-one client, just the small little wins of people like actually making a lifestyle change and feeling confident enough to go into the gym on their own. Obviously achieving goals that they set out. At the minute I have a lot of members reaching milestones with like running and fitness goals, PBs, and there's so many different elements of it. I had one client as well who hadn't eaten chocolate in 17 years because of the fear and the anxiety around it, and she managed to have chocolate the other month and it was like guilt free. Like there's so many amazing wins you see from members like just day to day. And it could be like the small things that are just as important.
Yeah, that definitely. 17 years is pretty impressive, actually, to not eat chocolate.
I remember she told me that on board and I was like, yeah, I was
Yeah, this is going to
like gobsmacked.
change.
I was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, you yourself have had issues with around food and things like that. And I think it's a very common thing. I didn't realize until I started the podcast, really. I've had a few girls on here that have spoke about, issues with anorexia and food eating disorders. And I think it's a lot more common than you'd probably think. And it doesn't just generally go the anorexia way, it can go the complete opposite way with binge eating and things like that. So if you're managing to help people that have issues that the standard everyday person may not see, then it's another benefit that's not only physical.
For us, it's like more kind of like relationships. So if
Yeah,
like any of the girls do display any of the extreme things from like anorexia, etc., we do refer out to specialists. But even just the generic person, relationship with food, from things from childhood, things that might have picked up or heard from parents, friends, etc., like just small things that they
yeah,
probably don't even realize or notice themselves until you then do the work and the coaching with them.
yeah. I think a lot of that probably comes from social media as well, with the crazy celebrity fad diets and things like that. And even if people aren't necessarily noticing it, like you say, once it gets pointed out and you realize what's going on, then you're not going to realize there's an issue until that happens. But
Mhm.
like you've mentioned on Instagram quite a lot, fitness doesn't have to be necessarily complicated. So, with that being said, then what would you say people overthink the most when it comes to health and fitness?
I think it is hard because, especially with the rise in social media, like there is so much conflicting information out there, and you don't know what to believe, so it can be quite hard. And I always say to members, like, stick to the basics. I think I did a post the other week about like, are you majoring in the minors? Like, are you trying to look for the best supplement, the best workout, the best recovery, etc., and just strip it right back. And it's more about meeting them where they're at, because if someone isn't sleeping, isn't getting 3 meals a day in, there's no point of giving them like really hard or specific targets to follow. It's just about meeting them where they're at, and that's what coaching is about, really. So for me, the basics are nutrition. Are you getting 3 meals a day in? Is that primarily like whole foods, so fruit and veg, intake high as well? Sleep, obviously, probably everyone knows the importance of sleep. So are you getting enough sleep in? How are your energy levels? Moving your body, training, especially strength training, is really important. Just general walking, moving a lot, and find an exercise that you enjoy as well, because it doesn't have to be what everyone else is doing or what the trends are on social media. It's got to just make sense for you. So for me, like they're the three basics I look at first before then going into like supplements, ice baths, saunas, etc.
Well, supplements, say what it is on the tin. It's a supplement to your diet. If you've not got your diet sorted in the first place, then you might as well just forget about spending the money on supplements. And feel like a lot of people
Hmm.
now, as soon as they go to the gym, they think, what supplements do I need to be taking? When they've not got a training regime down, nailed like on a weekly basis. They're not sleeping properly and they're not eating properly. So you're wasting your money on this, like, it's basically the sum of 1%. But you've got to nail the basics because you'll be, what, 90% of the way there if you've got the basics nailed. It's just those other little small impacts that will benefit you if you've got everything nailed in the first place.
Definitely. I think something else that is also overlooked is stress. Like so many people, their stress levels are so high just through day to day like life, could be work, children, and exercise. Although it is a good stress, it is an additional stress on your body. So if you're not managing stress levels, like you
Yeah.
are going to struggle to maybe see the results or just manage to get into sessions or deal with like emotions, etc., because everything's going to be so high and difficult already.
I feel like a lot of people try and go from like 0 to 100 within the first week. Like they'll be going literally never to the gym, and all of a sudden they think they need to go 5 days a week. When if you
Yeah.
went once or twice in that first week, then that's better than every other week that you've done before that. And then you just build on that like slowly. You don't try and go, right, I'm going to go 5 times a week. I'm going to have all these supplements. I'm going to have this morning routine. I'm going to do this, this, and this, because you're just not going to stick to it. It's too much in one go. It's too big of a change. And I think you make small incremented changes over a long time, then they start to add up and become a lot more manageable. But with that,
100%.
then, so what are the sort of myths that you come across when working with the women in your gym? What, because there's obviously a lot out there on social media, and it's hard to sort of cut through at times of what's true and what's not. Is there any sort of recurring things that come up with your clients in the gym?
Nothing really comes to mind, like with regards to myths. I feel like a lot of people say the common one of like strength training or weight training makes you bulky. But to be honest, I've not really heard that much. I think that misconception now is kind of like dying down a little bit because everyone's
Yeah.
aware of the benefits. But I think the main thing people struggle with probably is nutrition. And it's not like an one size fits all with that either. Like it is very individual, and it can be quite hard to give people, because we don't do like meal plans. It's more about like people developing habits and having like the intuition and stuff themselves. So it can be challenging, but I think it's people they see maybe at like Instagram influencers posting what I ate in the day, and they think, okay, well, I've got to eat what they're eating to look like them, or I've got to train the same way they're training to look like them. But even if two people train the exact same way and ate the exact same thing, like they still could look completely different because
Yeah.
genetics, like there's so many different factors.
Yeah, definitely. I've got quite a funny one actually. My nan still thinks that protein powder is steroids. So whenever she sees me with a protein shake, she'll say that why are you taking steroids? And she's told her mates as well that me and
Oh,
my brothers take steroids because we have protein shakes. And I'm like, Nan, you've really
oh,
got to stop this because that's going to get around. Because like her mates have got kids our age, and I'm like, yeah, you've got to stop this.
very nice.
Yeah, it's not good at all. But yeah, I think it is interesting. I think people are sort of coming around to the fact now that, especially in women, that weightlifting's good for you. Just the general fad diets are seeming to go away a little bit. It seems to come and go, to be honest. There'll be the next big trend at some point, which will be no doubt
Yeah.
ridiculous, but hopefully people are becoming a bit more
I always
wise to
say
them.
that, like with these trends and fads, like it works until it doesn't. You might try something and it might work for like a month, and then you revert back to your old habits and you think, oh, well, that works. I'm going to do that again. It's like continuous cycle. But if you were having to like start something again and again, is it really working for you? Like you're probably going to have to try a different approach or a different method.
It's interesting you say that. I've noticed that going back to the fitness photo shoots. So I've noticed quite a bit in my gym. I've spoke to some people that have done them, and they've said, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm putting a bit of weight on at the moment. I need to book in for another fitness photo shoot." And I'm like, "Well, it's clearly not working because you're doing this 12-week diet, which you're getting really lean at, and then I see them in the gym a couple of weeks later. They're back to where they started within a couple of weeks, and then they get
Yeah.
uncomfortable with the way they're feeling because they're a bit heavier and they're a bit fluffier than they were in the fitness photo shoot. So then they think, oh, I need to book another one because that worked." But it's not long. It's not a
Mhm.
long-term thing at all. And people are just wanting those quick wins. And I've said it many times. Like in our generation, everyone wants anything in an instant. You can book a taxi within a couple of minutes. You can get food to your door in
Yeah.
20 minutes. You can get an Amazon order same day now. It's like fitness doesn't work the same. Like it's a long-term commitment to yourself.
Is that like instant gratification? Like so many people, because you've got your phone and you're so used to everything just being there and so ready available, like you want the results like yesterday, but unfortunately, it's going to require some time and some effort. And doing it like that, you are going to build so many skills and build confidence and evidence for yourself that you can do hard stuff. And I think it will be a lot more rewarding,
Yeah,
like when you do achieve like what you do eventually.
yeah, definitely. Like nothing worth having comes easily. So you've got to just
Mhm.
be patient and put the work in. Unfortunately, if it was easy, then everyone would be in ridiculous shape, then, wouldn't they? But unfortunately, that's not the case. Um, so going back to the simplicity of fitness, if you had to build like a simple, effective week of training for someone just starting out, how would that look for you?
Okay, so again, it would depend like where they're at, their ability, what time and resources they have available as well. Like, are they a student or are they a parent? But kind of generically, I would say if someone was beginning, like starting from scratch, I would say definitely taking a full body approach. So I know you might see on like social media like a lot of splits or focus on like back, biceps, legs, etc. But if you are like short on time, I would say 3 sessions a week in the gym, full body sessions would be a great place to start. And then again, dependent on goal, but just generally increasing your activity level outside the gym, even if it is just like a 10-15 minute walk that you're going to fit in or habit stack around other commitments, like little small things are going to build up and compound over time. It doesn't have to be extreme, it doesn't have to be drastic, just something small that is going to work with your lifestyle.
I think it's important with the full body stuff as well. If you're only just starting out in the gym, that's going to help you manage the DOMs a lot better because if you weren't going to the gym previously and then you go in and start doing, say, a push pull leg split, your leg are going to feel it. And then when you go in the next time, everything with push is going to hurt, everything for pull is going to hurt. So you're eventually in that first week, you're just going to deteriorate your whole body within that first week and you're going to be knackered and achy.
Mhm.
Whereas if you go 3 full body sessions, that's exactly where I'd start someone as well. You can manage those DOMs a little bit more because you'll be doing, say, a whole leg day across 3 days, which, like I
Mhm.
say, it's not only gonna manage the DOMs better, but you find quite often that people go, "Oh, I'm so achy. I'm not gonna go. It hurts. I don't want to do it." Like you've got to push through that initial
Yeah.
DOMs, but you manage it a little bit better with a full body. And it is just like you said, making small incremental changes outside of the gym. So That could be literally taking the stairs instead of going up in a lift. It could be parking further
Definitely.
away in the car park and getting those extra steps in. There's so many small little things that can make a big difference and sort of stack on top of each other over time. So we did mention about the social media and it sort of being a bit confusing for some people. So do you think that as a net positive, it is helping people or hurting people trying to get into fitness?
I would say helping. Me personally, I learned a lot through social media. Like it's definitely following people who have got qualifications rather than just like the average Joe who's going to the gym. It'll probably be your best place to start. There's so many really good content creators out there who are spreading like science, fact, evidence-based stuff, which is a really good place to start. But personally, I found it really good to see other people doing stuff and that inspired me and influenced me, whether it be like someone training, could be like recipe ideas, etc. So personally, I found that really beneficial. And like I said, if you are like following and watching the right people, definitely a net gain. I think even just encouraging people to get into it to start off with is a benefit.
Yeah, I think it's all about curating your Instagram feed or whatever social media you're using. I think you've got to create it to fit your goals. Because if you're, I don't know, say you're going into the gym and you're overweight, wanting to lose some fat, you following a load of like bikini models or bodybuilders, probably not going to be the best place for you to be because you're going to constantly be comparing yourself. So why not go for some different creators that suit your goals a bit better? And it's just about creating it so that it's not going to be a negative space for you.
Definitely. Have you seen that thing at the minute of the skinny talk
No. What's
or
this?
not? So it's like obviously on TikTok you have your little niches and like different sides of TikTok. And
Yeah.
there's something at the minute called Skinny Talk, and it's just like it depends if you have got like previous relationship with food issues or I just think it's not the best place to kind of be or like be consuming that information. But that is a bit of a trend at the minute and it's coming around. And I think that is quite a negative impact. And obviously things like Ozempic, etc., like that does become quite popular in social media. So that could be the negative side of it. But like you said, if you are kind of blocking or removing people that are promoting that kind of stuff and following people who are like positively influencing you and spreading like correct information. I feel like that's like ideal.
It's so easy now to do on the explore feed as well because you can literally like long hold a post and just press not interested and it'll stop showing you stuff that's similar to that. So if
Yeah,
basically for anyone listening, if you are struggling with what's coming up on your feed, just literally sit there for 10, 15 minutes and you'll notice a lot of the negative stuff that you say you're not interested in will just clear off your screen. And it's just a quick
I
win, I
feel like
think.
yeah, even if you aren't consciously feeling like you're affected by it, like subconsciously, if you're consuming things on social media all the time, like it will be having some kind of impact, like whether you think it is or not.
Yeah. And it obviously then feeds into your confidence, which you spoke about before, and you speak quite a lot on your Instagram. So, what
Mhm.
was it about going into the gym that you sort of struggled with confidence wise? Like, what was it that you maybe stopped you from going as much as you may have wanted to in the outset?
Yeah, I feel like for me, and feel like it's a common theme with a lot of other people, it's first of all, it's the knowledge and kind of knowing what you need to do. A big thing was like knowing how to use machines, like the correct form, and that like fear of judgment, I suppose, again, which is all on me. Like other people are there to focus on themselves, but I had this fear that people were looking and thinking, look at her, like she doesn't know what she's doing. And but again, it was all a me thing. And something that like helped me was just to gradually expose myself to like a new exercise or a new piece of equipment every time I went in. So if I started maybe on the treadmill, which I feel like a lot of girls do tend to just stick to the cardio machines because it's safe and it's what they know. So I'd maybe do that. And then I would say, okay, today I'm going to try this machine or I'm going to try this exercise. And I would have obviously researched beforehand so that I had an idea of what to do, maybe how to use a machine, and then just gradually building that up. And every time I went to the gym, that was building evidence for myself that it wasn't scary and that I could do it. Like I was a gym girl. It's like identifying as that person rather than having that thought and identifying as someone who can't go to the gym or has gym anxiety.
So it's kind of like just constantly growing your comfort zone, stepping out of it, making it bigger over time in incremental sort of steps. I think just going back to you saying about how to get into the gym in terms of trying a new machine, one thing that I've noticed in quite a few gyms now is they've got a QR code on that shows you how to use machines correctly.
Yeah.
Another tip I'd give anyone that's listening would be to go on their Instagram and just have a look on the posts of where certain equipment is. That can be a good one. I do it myself if I'm going to a new gym. I just have a quick look, see what they've got, see where stuff is, because otherwise I look like a big idiot just walking around, really confused.
I still remember my first day.
Yeah,
I literally went on like the internet and I went on the gym and I like tried to find where the change rooms were. So as soon as I went in, I knew exactly where to go and I wasn't like looking lost in the gym because it can be scary. Like even now as a coach, going in and not knowing where things are, you can think, oh my God, like what am I doing? But it's normal. Like everyone once walked through the doors for the
yeah.
first time and everyone's been in your situation. So
Yeah, I've been in many gyms, and quite often what I will do is go, like you say, onto a cardio machine. 'Cause quite a lot of the time, they are facing all of the weighted stuff. So sometimes I'll just go on a treadmill or a bike or something and literally just look around and see what's what. Actually, last night, so I've joined back to the Pure Gym that I used to go just because my actual gym that I go to closes at 9. So I basically have enough time to get my workout in, but then not enough time to do my cardio and core. So I've joined Pure Gym, which is around the corner. Went in there for the first time in, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years, and everything's moved around. So I just got on the bike and just literally had a look around of where everything was. It can feel awkward and a little bit daunting, even for me that's been going to the gym for 13 and a half years. So you're not alone in that if you are literally just joining. But yeah, it's constantly just slowly increasing that comfort zone over time, just pushing yourself
I
out a
think,
little.
yeah, definitely something else that helps. Like the gym might even offer things like an induction. I remember my first gym,
Yeah,
I was employed, and if people wanted an induction, they could book in, and that's when I would show them the machines and how to use stuff. Luckily, the girls now have a coach, and then like where I work, so they come in and they know exactly what they need to do, so they don't really have that issue. But for anyone who is in a commercial gym, I would look and see if they do offer anything like that, or if they have got any personal trainers that can like help.
going with a friend as well. That's a massive one.
Yeah.
Just going with someone else because then you're both in the same boat and you don't feel as stupid as you may feel, which is completely rational anyway. And like you mentioned as well, worrying about what other people are thinking. Quite often they don't even realize you're there. Like I think a lot of people think they're a lot more special in a way than they actually are. Like nobody actually cares that you're there unless you're doing something completely ridiculous. Nobody even realizes you're there. So yeah, like I said, it is just slowly growing that comfort zone. Don't try and go from 0 to 100. Go from 0 to 5, and then grow on that. And then moving into it, then. So you have spoke quite a bit, I think, especially in February on your Instagram with Studio Six as well about the self love month. So tell
Yeah.
us why they did that and what the sort of message was and why it matters.
So you probably heard people kind of preaching like love yourself, self-love, and that might look different for each person, but it's just having people like appreciate like where they are, celebrating their wins, and rather than comparing to other people. And maybe I think a lot of people in this age as well, like automatically revert to what they don't have or comparing themselves to people who may be achieving more, etc. So it gives the opportunity for the members in our gym. So what we did, we gave them all a pen to write on the mirror something that they were proud of, something they achieved. And it was so nice to see like everyone writing down. And in the end, I don't know if you saw the photo, but there was like so many
Yeah, I
different
did.
in there.
Yeah,
And I think self-love has a bad rap because people think, oh, like it's just maybe like a bit of self care, going in the bath, like how can I love myself if I'm not happy, etc. And it's just like reframing those thoughts and finding things that you do like about yourself and things that are going well.
yeah.
And I think the main thing of self love for people as well is actually showing up and doing what you say you're gonna do. I think that is a big thing, and that's where you can start to like appreciate yourself a little bit more and develop that love for yourself.
So keeping yourself a bit accountable in a way.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think like you mentioned it in terms of it being getting a bad rap on social media. I think it can come across maybe a little bit airy fairy at times, but obviously there's,
Yeah.
I think, well, some of it falls into the whole manifestation and stuff like that. But I think in terms of actual, like you said, appreciating what you do have instead of worrying about what you don't. I think the like comparison is obviously the thief of joy. It's quite well known that, and social media doesn't help that at times. It can be so easily to go on there and you see someone, I don't know, driving a Ferrari or something like that with a fancy watch on holiday. It can be, you know, quite negative, but that also falls back into the whole curate what you want to see and what's going to be
Yeah.
positive to you mentally. So I think it was quite a good little initiative, especially with it being around Valentine's Day. Um,
Mhm.
so what did you get in terms of a response from the members after that? Have they sort of carried it on, or is there any more sort of accountability with it, or has it sort of just been February?
I would say it's just kind of like an underlying value that we have, and it's something that we've created an environment that people have changed their attitudes and values and beliefs. So everyone kind of sings from the same hymn sheet of the mindset around stuff and the things that we work on with clients. So the way that I work, you probably just saying like we coach in the gym, but we all kind of coach our own little cohort outside the gym. So if any members do require any more support or they are working on something particularly around maybe, I would say self-confidence, and confidence ties in a lot with the kind of self-love theme as well. We've definitely been working on that and continuing that kind of throughout the year, not just highlighting it in February. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So there's stuff going on outside the gym as well then. So what would you say your ways to build confidence outside the gym, outside of lifting weights and things like that would be?
Like I said previously, the main thing about confidence, I would say, is just getting out your comfort zone and building that evidence and doing what you said you're going to do. If you say that you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week, make sure that you are keeping that commitment to yourself, because you're worth going to the gym. Like, you need to see that value and appreciate yourself. And going back to like that self-love thing, like how can you love other people and give everything to everyone else if you're not taking care of you and filling your own cup?
Yeah, it's definitely important. I've seen someone relate that to, when you're on a plane and they say if there is like an emergency situation, grab your mask before you grab someone else's. It's sort of in a similar way. You've got to fill your cup up before you can go and help other people, because if you're constantly running on
Right.
empty, it's going to just grind away and in the long term.
And I feel like people have so many other like areas, so work, relationships, children, that they want to perform or provide the best for. But if you're not in the best state, like physically, mentally, you're not gonna probably give what you want. So it's definitely worth investing in you, making your own health and well-being a priority, and then hopefully you can then like be better, be a better person, be a better mom, be a better colleague, etc.
So I guess moving away from your clients and towards you, then moving out of your comfort
Yeah.
zone, you've taken running up fairly recently, I think, and
Mhm.
I've seen on your Instagram, obviously, like many people in the mid to late 20s now, taking up running. And I also saw you went running in Paris as well. So,
Yep.
what exactly got you into running? Was it just the trend that came along, or was it sort of stepping out of that comfort zone and doing something different?
So our gym, we do a lot of running because it is a really good exercise for your cardiovascular fitness and just really functional in general. So definitely inspired by the coaches, the members, like, and all of their success with running. And we actually had a run club on New Year's Day, and it was a 5K. And I was thinking, I can't run 5K. So I was like, right, I need to actually like get to a place where I can easily or comfortably go out and go for a run and not have to worry about it. I have had a few issues with like knees and joints, etc. So I hadn't ran in probably a good 3 years. And I was like this time last year, I was probably just say walking without pain. So to get to where I was to where I am now, I'm so happy. But yeah, I started running and I set myself a goal of running 10K. So we had a meeting at the start of the year and we kind of mentioned like any personal or fitness goals. And one of mine was, I think I actually wrote down 8K, and I thought if I'm doing 8, I may as well just do
Might
10.
as well
So
make it 10, yeah.
that goal. Exactly. And then I have actually signed up for a 10K race, which is in 3 weeks. So give me something to actually work towards.
Yep.
Um, and just a challenge for myself to show like I can do it. And even on the past, I might have said I'm not a runner. Like I actually am if I decide to be. I just need to like just display the habits that a runner would have.
How are you feeling for your 10K?
Do you know what? I've been training, so I have been running probably since like January and now consistent likely maybe a few weeks where I might have missed a run, but I feel like it's not going to be easy, I'm not going to lie. Like I'm trying. I went for a 5K this morning and I think it's because I'm like pushing to go a little bit faster. I ran with two girls who were really fast and still feels really hard, but I know that I'll be able to do it if I just kind of slow down and take it at my own pace. My main goal is really just to complete it without stopping.
I'm sure you'll be able to do it. In terms of running then, and someone who wanted to run, how would you say they should start? Like, what advice would you give?
Start like again where you are. Don't try and go out and do a 5K straight away because your joints, like your cardiovascular system, probably isn't ready for that. The great way that I got started was the Couch 5K app that I think everyone has probably heard about or done. So that was a good way for me to get started. But just make sure you've got a good pair of running trainers and just get outside and start. Don't be afraid to stop. Like sometimes the ego can get in the way and you think like you've got to run the full time. Do what you can, start with intervals, so maybe run, then walk, and just progressively like building on that each week. Also make sure that you are warming up because you don't want any injuries. So make sure you are warming up quite dynamically and take it at your own pace.
Yeah, I think it's the whole message that we've said kind of the whole podcast is not going from 0 to 100. It's, going from 0 to 5 and then building. Because, yeah, if you go and try and run 5K and you've never ran before, then you're probably going to come up with a bit of a shock and it'll be probably quite miserable, unless you are just naturally fit. But, yeah, do some intervals, start nice and slow, and don't forget to warm up. I think that is a very
I feel
key
like,
one.
yeah, running's such a big trend at the minute. Like everyone's out there doing like marathons and half marathons, and don't compare. Like you might see someone's pace and think, wow, like they're so fast, or they've got like a sub 30-minute 5K, but just focus on you. And with you mentioning there, people being naturally fit. I run with my brother the other week. I don't know how I convinced him to come out, and we did 7K. And he hasn't really trained or ran much, and he found it so easy. Like he was saying to me, he was running at my pace, and he was like, I may as well be walking." So people are probably are naturally better at things, like if they are more athletic. So don't worry about like people being better.
Yeah, it's you versus you at the end of the day. Like I did a couple of sprint triathlons, and I am by no means built for sprint triathlons. I'm like 105 kilos, and I've done I think three of them, and there's no chance that I was ever going to win any of them. I was just doing it purely out of fun. Like the lads that are winning those things are half the size of me. Yeah, I'm going to get nowhere near them anytime soon. So, like yourself, doing a 10K, with all due respect, you're probably not going to win the race, so just do it for you
Definitely
and and
not.
and get a PB
Yeah,
for yourself. And that PB, literally, like you say, may be just completing 10K. So
it is definitely. And just enjoying it as well. Like
yeah,
no pressure, enjoying the atmosphere and just being proud that I've been able to do it and appreciating my body for being able to actually run that 10K because previously I wouldn't have been able to.
and then you've got a milestone in the sand then to then potentially work towards in the future. But I think it was quite important what you actually said was booking yourself in for that 10K and having something to aim for. If you've not got a
Yeah.
sort of end goal, it can be quite hard to sort of stay on track and keep something up if there's literally nothing at the end of it. I was actually thinking about doing a podcast next week, like a solo episode, and I wrote a couple of notes down, and I'm personally feeling like a little bit burnt out with the gym and things like that because there is no end goal with it for me in general. I've been doing it for 13 and a half
Mhm.
years now. So, I mean, it's not to say that I've not been consistent, but I'm finding a little bit of a struggle to just get there and do stuff. But we're still plodding along. The discipline's keeping me on track.
That's normal. You probably have phases where it will be
Yeah.
more engaging, more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And it's always when I've had a goal to work towards that it has been a bit easier. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'd say for anyone looking to get into anything, set some form of goal, break it down into smaller chunks so you can work towards it and sort of get those little dopamine hits with each one that you tick off. Running obviously then has, especially at longer distance, a impact of nutrition. Obviously, you've got to fuel your runs. how would you go about fueling properly?
Just make sure that before you go for a run, have something that is maybe higher in carbohydrates, whether that be kind of like toast, I like a banana, medjool dates can be quite good as well. I've not really got to the point where I need to fuel during the run, so I don't do anything long enough to kind of have gels and stuff, but it could be a consideration if you are running longer distance. But yeah, just make sure you have something before that's going to keep you energized and fueled, and then post run recovery, so balanced meal, high carbs to replenish your energy stores, and then protein as well, just to help with recovery.
Yeah. I don't think it needs to be too complicated either in terms of eating before, but obviously give yourself enough time so that you're not going to throw it straight back up. I
Yeah,
think would
let
be
it
very
digest.
yeah. And electrolytes, I said I would add into that as well. That would be also
Yeah,
a
it's
good one.
definitely hydration. Keep
Yeah.
hydrated, maybe add electrolytes in. Agree.
Linking back into your clients then, would you say there are any sort of nutrition mistakes that you come across quite often, or maybe misconceptions that you sort of pick up on quite often?
I think the main thing for people is the understanding around kind of how nutrition works and how energy works and how your body uses energy and how much you need to consume, etc. And maybe there's also the awareness of food, like what is the nutritional content of food. The main thing like saw, especially I think it was a bit of a trend a few months, like a few years ago, was the high protein products. So I know Lidl and Aldi, they
Yeah.
got all like the high protein yogurts, pancakes, etc. And
I
everyone
had some of the
thought
pancakes
that's
before
what
this
they need.
podcast.
They're fine now, but I feel like everyone had the
Yeah.
idea, like
Yeah, yeah.
they needed to have everything that had high protein on the packet, like that's what they needed to have.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think the yogurt you can get is just as much protein in a normal Greek yogurt, so don't be
Yeah.
fooled by marketing.
Yeah, quite often the high protein products aren't actually that high. To be fair, the pancakes have got 20 grams of protein in, which isn't too bad, but they are about 380 calories, I think. So not the best bang for your buck. But especially with things like cereal, I noticed with the high protein versions were not that much different. So yeah, don't get done by the marketing. There are cheaper ways to get your protein in. It is quite funny that you mentioned the pancakes though.
Yeah, no, I don't want to call you out or anything.
To kind of wrap things up then, what is one piece of advice that you wish every woman knew about fitness?
That's a good one. That fitness doesn't have to be purely about changing how you look. Although having those goals are like fine and valid, it can be to elevate how you feel, how you think. And there's so many other reasons to train beyond aesthetics, definitely. How important kind of strength training and moving your body is, and to not probably follow or the fad diet or the trends.
It's quite a good roundup. The only thing that I would add to that is weights aren't going to make you look like a man.
Yes, also that.
That is the only thing that I would add to that. So where can everyone find you on Instagram?
So I have an Instagram page which is Rebecca Purvis Fitness. Post a lot of content around training, nutrition, mindset stuff, etc. And then also the gym have an Instagram. You'll be able to find that on my page as well, just in my bio.
I'll get that in the description below on the YouTube. Last one for you. Have you got any exciting projects or events or anything coming up that people should know about?
I feel like the gym or like at work, we always have something going on, exciting projects and things going ahead. We've started introducing seminars. So for our members on a Saturday, we're going to be talking about like different areas and topics. So I'll be presenting some of those, which is exciting. Personally, nothing in the works at the minute. But then, with regards to events, there's something called the Hybrid Games coming up, which is in Newcastle. Don't know if you've heard of that yet.
I've
It's
not
very
seen
similar
anything.
to High Rock, I would say. So I'm looking to enter that as well. So I have another thing to focus on once I've done this 10K race.
Very nice. So with those seminars, is that for sort of members only, or can sort of outside of the gym go?
So the ones that we have in, they're going to be monthly. They are for members only, but we tend to have events and like talks, etc., that do come up that will be open for the public as well. But all the information always goes out on Instagram.
Okay, I guess anyone that's interested in going to them, go and check out Studio Six's Instagram. But Rebecca, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. It was good to chat.
I know it's been a while. I think we've probably been following each other for what, 5, 6 years or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I scrolled like all the way up to our chat, and like I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I was giving you recommendations when you went to Naples or something, or went to Italy. So it has been a
Yes.
while.
Yeah, that has been a while. I think, when was that? 2022 or something? I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. If you have got this far, please drop it a like. And if you're new, subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.